So thank you for having us. Every teacher, every lecturer, every HOD principal, every artist. It was a song, if we ask for a song. Everyone who's here, you are here because you wanted to be here. You want to come and contribute, give and air your voice on issues of concern or appreciation, and you want to engage and get some answers. It's the same with me. But I want to start by telling you a story quickly, God allowed. 1999, I was a teacher in Chumeng. And I took the bus, the 1st of December. I was supposed to start in Oshana region as a school counselor. I got on the bus as a teacher from Chumeng, and I didn't know where I was going to sleep. That was 1999. I came and I called a very dear friend of mine, who's the godmother to my son, Lashani Andreas. She's late. She's one of the first African authors in Namibia who published a novel. And I called her and she says, Sanet, how can you be so irresponsible? How can you travel to a place you don't even know where you're going to sleep? I said, Oshidi, help me, my sister, love me. And she hooked me up with a cousin, with whom I ended up staying for 3 months. And that was the start of my 10 years in Oshana region. I worked in Odangwa West, I worked in Odangwa East, I bought a house here, I had my life here, the best time of my life. 8 years in Oshana. That Ronnie will tell you, the workshops we have here. That Irimani will tell you how we danced. Because we were young. We enjoyed ourselves. We have many stories to tell, but the last one we do. My house is not far from here. Then I would be around the corner. And I had to choose. And this is where engagements comes off. I had to choose. Do I, because I have 2 children, do I buy a house or do I buy a car? I chose to buy a house. Because I have lived with so many people. 3 months where Nashani put me with a beautiful cousin and the family. And then I went to stay with Honorable Nipodoka and traveled from Sati to here, from Oshikati to here. And then I rent in Puniu, and I was just saying, man, my life needs structure. So I bought a house. So I would walk every afternoon. I would walk home. And then there was this little, and then everybody would see me walking late and I would walk fast. I was still young and there was energy. And this young little girl would play there every afternoon. And then she would shout, Chirumbu! And maybe I would just walk in. That day I was very tired. And she's just shouting, Chirumbu! And I was so tired and I just stopped and I said, I'm not Chirumbu. And then she says, you are Chirumbu, you are red. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Sanet Strenka. I spent 10 years in Oshana, the best time of my life. I moved to Auckland when I spent 8 years. I carry the heart of the people with me. I met my husband in the north. We got married. His heart is still in Omosati region. When we got married, and I was in Ohangwena, and he was in Omusati, I said, you should transfer now to Ohangwena. He says, no, I'm not leaving my region. And so we commute to each other every weekend or every second. Because we wanted to serve there where we were appointed. We were not looking for transfers. We wanted to build where we were appointed. That's the first lesson. When you enter a career or when you enter a project, you see it through. It has become too easy to transfer. It has become too easy to use doctor's appointments, letters to convince